By the time a software company reaches a certain stage or size, it has often made some key decisions about its monetization infrastructure, which we often call its quote-to-cash stack. On one side, its sales teams have likely implemented a CRM platform to manage their sales pipeline, and that's often coupled with what is called a CPQ platform, which is used to automate quotations to customers and manage orders. On the other side, their finance teams have very likely implemented an accounting platform, and that is often coupled with functions like invoicing, like payments, like filing taxes, but also importantly, revenue recognition. m3ter is a product that sits between these systems. Our understanding is that these investments become immovable objects. Customers have established important business processes that are built around them and on top of them. And so m3ter's function is to sit between and automate the flow of orders all the way through to billing and revenue recognition. As such, it's really important that we integrate with these platforms very well. And integrations as a service and as part of m3ter is a first-class feature. And what I mean by that is it's as important as any other component of the platform, such as rating. I'm joined here by two of my colleagues, Shaf, who's a solution architect and works with many of our customers on their implementations. How are you, Shaf?
Doing well, thanks, John.
Good. And Renaldo, who is our product manager, one of our product managers, and is particularly responsible for our integrations. How are you doing, Renaldo?
Very good, thank you.
Good. So I'm going to just talk to the guys a little bit about their particular knowledge on certain aspects of our integrations. So Shaf, I'm going to start with you, and let's talk about CRM. And it's more often than not Salesforce, but we also support HubSpot, right? Sure. What do you see as the key challenges?
I think the biggest thing when it comes to CRM, every single company that we work with in some shape or form has a CRM and or a CPQ, but no two customer has the same setup, right? So you might have Salesforce, but one customer would have the base CRM, somebody else would have CRM plus CPQ, someone might have the new revenue lifecycle management product. And everyone kind of sells differently because B2B sales can be complex, can be very unique to the business itself. So what you want when you're defining an integration pattern is flexibility. But there's also a line to be drawn that you can't be too flexible because then you're just giving the end customer nothing but a code library and they're doing all of it themselves. So it's striking the right balance between being flexible, but also having the proper guardrails and structure to define a great integration pattern.
And I notice when we work from customer to customer, sometimes they're using opportunity as their primary object, and other times they might use an order. So how do we deal with that, these differences across different customers?
Right, that's kind of exactly what I'm talking about. When we decided to build, for example, our Salesforce managed package, which is one of the only few billing managed package that's available on AppExchange, we took a very deliberate approach in not making this a code library or building out our own CPQ inside Salesforce. Rather, what we did is allow the customers to define their mapping from Salesforce into m3ter using metadata mapping. So it's a very low code or sometimes no code where you're mapping specific fields and objects, regardless of what they are, to m3ter objects. So you can then sync the account, pricing, contract, all of those rich customer-centric data into m3ter just by simply mapping them into the relevant field into m3ter without having to involve your engineering team, without having to involve kind of very expensive resource within your organization to tie them up for months-long project.
Yeah, and do we send data back?
Yeah, absolutely. That's the second part of it. So not only do you want to send data into m3ter, the way you kind of complete that 360 is you send that data into something like m3ter where it gets continuously rated and billed, and you want to send that data back into Salesforce. So in an ideal world, when m3ter is working properly, it disappears into the ether. The sales team never sees m3ter. They're doing their quoting, doing their account creation and everything within Salesforce. That flows directly into m3ter without them ever having seen m3ter. It gets rated, and the rated data and the actual drawdown of credit and all of the kind of nuanced usage-based stuff flows right back into Salesforce for them to report on, to drive their sales engagement, drive renewal, upsell, etc.
Great. So Renaldo, you and your team built all of this. And before going on to the more general part of it, let's just talk about the accounting system, because there are certain challenges there too, right? So what do you see as the most important integration patterns or models that we follow there?
Yeah, so it's all about taking the agreement that's been created in, for example, Salesforce, and being able to automate the billing behind that, and that's where m3ter fits into all of this. So we take all those different ways of pricing, hybrid pricing models, and we then, obviously through mappings in Salesforce, we bring that through into m3ter, do all our calculations, and then again through mappings, we push that through into accounting systems such as NetSuite or SAP and Oracle. And there we do that as often as business requires. So it may be that they want to see those bills within NetSuite on an hourly basis, or even more frequently, or perhaps it's only at the end of the month when they need to send bills out to the customer. But that's only one part of it. So your accounts receivable is obviously taking care of a lot of things like taxation and who the bills are going to. But the thing that the finance team is really interested in is not so much getting that invoice out, but is how do we recognize the revenue that we're generating from these invoices. So are we doing this with a billings-based revenue recognition model, or do we need to take bookings and book our revenue put it into deferred, and then the timing of when we recognize that revenue, and that's where m3ter helps with that. So not only are we just pushing through the invoices, but there's that usage data and the bookings data that we push through into the revenue system. For example, NetSuite's revenue management system, ARM, and we then empower companies to recognize their revenue through the right timings that m3ter helps them work with.
Excellent. And so we have certain out-of-the-box integrations, like for example, we have a managed package for Salesforce. We have an out-of-the-box integration with systems like NetSuite. What do you see as the future of our integrations? Where are we kind of taking it next?
What we're seeing is our customers wanting to bring all of their systems together. Like Shaf referred to, m3ter is kind of invisible in the background, but it does a lot of the coordination. It obviously automates the agreement, and it also helps with the automation of revenue recognition. So we support that process. But actually, there's other things going on in the ecosystem. So there's usage data coming in. There is people making changes to agreements. And so what they're looking for is some sort of automation around that. So we're actually building into m3ter a product that will help them with the automation. And that will use a similar pattern to what we've done with our managed package and with our integrations to our AR systems like NetSuite. And that'll be mappings based, but it will allow you to transform, translate, perform formulas, create actions based off events, and allow you to basically build in automation into your business processes.
Gotcha. So the evolution of software pricing, and particularly the adoption of usage-based pricing models, has placed challenges on a company's monetization infrastructure. Systems like Salesforce or NetSuite or SAP are not great at adapting to these new pricing models. And so m3ter's job is to sit in between them, often invisibly, and automate the process of customer orders all the way through to payments and invoicing.